Brandon Tran was a straight guy, and a pretty homophobic one at that. And yet, he was always by my side, taking care of my every little need. It took me a long time to finally accept the fact that I had fallen for a guy. Who would have thought I'd hear him, with my own ears, curse out another guy who came to confess to him, making the poor kid cry his eyes out. A guy liking another guy is just disgusting. But the moment he turned and saw me, his attitude changed in an instant. When he was half asleep or drunk, he'd call out my name. He was always finding ways to make me happy. Straight guy? Homophobic? You'd better hold on tight to that label of yours. So, let's dive into the full story. Heartbreak can sometimes be just a matter of a moment. I saw with my own eyes how Brandon Tran cruelly rejected a guy who came to confess, scolding him until he almost cried. Homosexuality is disgusting. Are you sick or something? Hearing that sent a chill down my spine. As soon as he saw me, Brandon's dark expression softened slightly. Noah, what are you doing here? I forced a smile and handed him a bottle of water. Brandon twisted the cap, took 2 big gulps, and then turned to complain to me. What rotten luck. I was just playing basketball, and some guy comes up to confess. Isn't that disgusting? I looked over at the boy crying under a tree, wiping his tears. I saw a reflection of myself in him and couldn't help but defend him. Gay people like people of the same gender. They aren't hurting anyone. You shouldn't be so prejudiced. Brandon's face filled with disgust as he insisted, they are disgusting. They're sick. Noah, if you ever meet people like that, make sure to stay away. His words were like adding fuel to the fire, and I flared up. So, in your eyes, I'm both disgusting and sick. Brandon panicked. Noah, I wasn't talking about you. I answered calmly, Brandon, I'm gay. Brandon froze on the spot, stunned. I instinctively reached out to pat his shoulder to offer some words of comfort. Something like, see? I'm gay, but I'm just a normal person like everyone else. But my hand missed its mark because Brandon had dodged it. I pulled back my hand, which was frozen in midair, and clenched it into a fist behind my back. I managed a smile that must have looked hideous and pretended to be casual as I turned away. I have class this afternoon, I'm heading off. Don't be late. Our once close, seamless relationship was instantly split apart by a deep chasm. I practically fled to the classroom. My roommate, Sean, looked behind me curiously. Where's Brandon? Why isn't he with you? I snapped back irritably, I don't know. We're not conjoined twins. Do I have to be wherever he is? Sean burst out laughing. Everyone in the school knows you two are joined at the hip. When did our relationship get so good that the whole school knew about it? And when did I realize I had feelings for Brandon Tran? It was the first day of university. I was a day late, pulling my suitcase and pushing open the dorm room door. A tragic scream followed as Sean fell flat on his face. He scrambled to pull up his pants, his face beet red, and stammered, Why, you're in the wrong room. This is the men's dorm. I stepped back, checked the room number, and then walked back in with a grin. Nope, not wrong. Room 520. My name is Noah Chu, gender, male. Sean was still patting his chest in fear. That scared me to death. I almost lost my innocence. I chuckled and started unpacking, making small talk with him. Sean asked curiously, Hey man, are you an art major? I was tying my long, bothersome hair into a bun and looked at him in surprise. Of course not. Same as you guys. Sean scratched his head sheepishly. It's just that it's rare to see a guy with long hair. I smiled, thinking of my artist mother, and couldn't help but sigh. I don't want it either. Washing and drying it is a pain, but my family insists. After setting up my bed and luggage, I was a bit sweaty, so I went to take a shower while Sean played games outside. I had just finished and was about to get dressed when the door was pushed open. Through the hazy white steam, my eyes met with the person who had just walked in. His handsome, cool face turned bright red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Before I could react, the door was slammed shut with a bang. How rude, I frowned, quickly getting dressed and walking out. When Sean saw me, he enthusiastically introduced us. Brandon Tran was the name of the guy who had just accidentally opened the door. During the introduction, he somehow managed to chug an entire bottle of ice water. Brandon's eyes rested on me. Sorry about that. I forgot the bathroom lock was broken. It's fine. Sean suggested that since the whole room was here, we should all go out for a meal. Everyone agreed. Not wanting to make them wait, I took out my hairdryer and hastily blew my hair around. The urge to just chop it all off surged through me again. It was impossible to get it completely dry. Brandon stood up and walked over. Let me help you dry it, as an apology. I handed him the hairdryer. Brandon's movements were clumsy, his fingertips brushing against my scalp, making it tingle a little, but he patiently and slowly dried my hair. After it was dry, I said thanks. A hint of a smile flickered in his eyes as he casually ran his hand from the crown of my head down to the ends of my hair, a look of fondness on his face. It feels so nice to touch. I was too lazy to argue and joked back, then I'll leave my hair in your hands from now on. Brandon smiled and agreed immediately. I laughed it off, thinking it was just a joke. During the meal, I was mistaken for a girl and asked for my number no less than 3 times. As for Brandon, it was girls asking for his number. To get some peace and quiet, Sean came up with a brilliant idea for Brandon and me to pretend to be a couple. The method was terrible, but it worked surprisingly well. It would be truly rude to ask for someone's number after that. After one meal, everyone's relationship had grown much closer. Back at the dorm, we all grouped up to play games. Brandon came out of the shower with a sly smile. Girlfriend, hurry up and go shower. I looked up from my phone and replied, wait till I finish this round, boyfriend. Brandon leaned in to watch for a few minutes, then commented seriously, you're terrible at this game. I stared at the death countdown on my screen, along with the censored curses from my anonymous teammates. Boyfriend, that's so rude. I can be bad at the game, but you're not allowed to say it out loud. Brandon took my phone. Let me play. You go take a shower. He immediately received a grateful look from Sean. I reminded him repeatedly, don't you dare drop my rank. It took me forever to get to gold. Brandon couldn't help but smirk. He glanced at my stats and froze for a few seconds. Your stats are actually pretty insane for this game. I ignored him and went to shower with my pajamas. My hair and body smelled like hot pot, so I had to wash my hair again. When I came out, I heard Sean happily praising Brandon to the skies. Quick, Brandon, play another round. Is this what it feels like to be carried by a pro? This is awesome. Brandon put the phone down and automatically picked up the hairdryer. Can't. I have to dry my girlfriend's hair. I felt a bit embarrassed and reached for the dryer. You can keep playing with them, I can do it myself. I'm not in a hurry. Brandon dodged my hand slightly. Nope. I always keep my word. Sean joked from the side, all right. Are you two trying to rub your PDA in our faces? My ears immediately felt hot. In the end, it was Brandon who dried my hair. Brandon was very popular at school. He was handsome and cool, not just good-looking, but also smart and capable. Combined with his friendly personality, it was hard for people not to like him. In today's basketball game, Brandon was on fire, impossibly handsome. The screams were loud enough to tear the roof off the gym. I sat in the front row of the audience, my eyes glued to Brandon's figure, watching his every jump and shot. I was so nervous my palms were sweating. For the first time, I visually experienced how handsome Brandon Tran was. The game ended, and Brandon was surrounded by people. Some handed him towels, others water. Sean, next to me, exclaimed with admiration, my boy Brandon is so popular. I couldn't help but laugh. What are you crowing about? Sean clutched his throat, shocked by the sound he had just made. His face immediately turned crestfallen. He already had a cold, and he had just been shouting too hard. The croaking sound wouldn't stop. I laughed so hard I cried, and Sean punched me lightly in embarrassment. Brandon walked over and raised an eyebrow at us. What's so funny? Sean chose to remain silent. I had just managed to stop laughing and was about to explain when Brandon snatched the water bottle from my hand. Before I could react, he had chugged it all down and tossed the empty bottle into the trash. I glared at him. I already drank from that. Brandon slung an arm around my shoulder, grinning as he asked back, "So what? Or should I go buy you another one, boyfriend?" Brandon had just finished exercising, and his body heat was intense. It was so hot that I reflexively tried to squirm out of his embrace. "No need. Let go of me, you're all sweaty and gross." Not letting go, Brandon laughed and hugged me tighter like a big doll, clinging to my back. He lazily rested his chin in the crook of my neck, every breath searingly hot, like fire. My whole body felt like it was about to combust, my heart pounding uncontrollably. Just then, he seemed to discover new territory. "Noah, you have a red mole on your earlobe." Something suddenly brushed against my earlobe. I was about to lose my mind. My voice trembled uncontrollably. "Brandon, what are you doing?" "Brandon, this mole is so small. It's so cute." I feigned calmness and threatened, "Let go of me right now or I'm getting angry." The next second, Brandon let go. "I drank your water, so I'll treat you to a meal." My mind a tangled mess, I nodded. Sean saw this and was no longer surprised, just tooting and shaking his head. That night, for some reason, I dreamed of Brandon. When I woke up, the sticky, uncomfortable feeling in my lower body made me incredibly ashamed. I couldn't help but curse under my breath. I glanced around. My roommates were still asleep. I tiptoed out of bed like a thief and headed for the bathroom, wanting to quickly dispose of the evidence. As I passed Brandon's bed, I heard him softly call out Noah. It scared me so much I froze on the spot, not daring to move. My brain's CPU went into overdrive, searching for an excuse. Just when I thought I might as well just confess, we were all guys. After all, who would judge? I gathered my courage, turned my head, and saw his eyes were tightly shut. He was fast asleep, his mouth slightly open as he called out Noah again. I stood there, stunned, then ran straight into the bathroom without looking back. After cleaning up without a soul knowing, my mind was restless and I couldn't get back to sleep. In the dorm, my eyes were constantly drawn to Brandon. Seeing him reminded me of the dream, and it was just awful. I decided to quietly wash my face and go for a walk to clear my head. I was taking off my pajamas when Brandon, who I didn't realize had woken up, sat up in bed and stared at me, his voice hoarse. "Noah, where are you going?" He startled me, and my hair got caught on a button of my pajama shirt. I yanked at it, and the pain on my scalp made me hiss. Brandon sighed, walked over, and lightly tapped my head. "You're such an idiot." He bent down to find the snag and quickly untangled it. I rubbed my sore scalp. "Sorry, I woke you." Brandon chuckled. "Good thing I woke up. What would you have done otherwise?" I wanted to retort but held it back. "You're the one who caused this." He asked again, "Where are you going so early?" "Can't sleep. Wanted to go for a walk." Brandon raised an eyebrow, glanced at the clock. "It's past 3 a.m. Where are you going to walk? Why can't you sleep?" I was a little annoyed. "What's with all the questions?" "I just can't sleep." "Did you have a nightmare?" Thinking about the content of the dream, nightmare wasn't exactly the word I'd use, but I mumbled yeah anyway. Brandon pushed me towards his bed and urged, "Hurry, get in." I looked at him, bewildered. "For what?" Brandon said it like it was the most natural thing in the world. "To sleep." I was half pushed, half pulled onto his bed by him. "What about you?" "Obviously, together." The dorm bed wasn't big to begin with, and now it was crammed with both me and Brandon. I stared at the wall in front of me, with Brandon's warm chest pressed against my back. I was sandwiched in the middle, my nose filled with his scent, my mind filled with the dream. I didn't dare move an inch. Time passed like an eternity. My throat felt dry. "It's too crowded. I want to go back to my bed." Brandon held me tightly with one arm, pulling me a little closer into his embrace. He rested his chin on my head, his voice lazy with sleep. "Just sleep here. You won't have any more nightmares." I couldn't argue with him and was afraid that moving more would cause a reaction, so I resigned myself to closing my eyes. Eventually, I drifted off to sleep without knowing when. The next morning, I was woken up and, like a fugitive, I ducked my head and burrowed into the blanket. But my cheek was pinched and I was pulled out. I groggily opened my eyes to Brandon's handsome, magnified face. My senses immediately returned. He rolled out of bed. Get up. We have Professor Han's class soon. He hates it when students are late. I nodded slightly to show I understood. I heard Sean nosily ask Brandon, how come you slept together? Brandon explained, he had a nightmare. Sean laughed, so next time I have a nightmare, can I crash in your bed, Brandon? Brandon laughed and cursed, get lost. Hearing Brandon's reply, a sweet feeling bloomed in my heart. I slowly got out of bed to wash my face. Brandon used his hand to smooth down my messy hair and casually asked, what do you want to eat later? I mumbled, steamed buns and soy milk. The bell rang, ending class. Brandon, sitting next to me, noticed something was off. You've been distracted all day. What's wrong? I slumped onto the desk in frustration, stared at him for a long time, then turned to look out the window. Brandon, with the expression of an old father, sighed and said, my boy is all grown up, with secrets of his own. Early that morning, I had secretly posted an anonymous question online. During class, I snuck a look at the replies. Many enthusiastic netizens had answered, and their answers were surprisingly similar. You're done for. You've fallen in love. What was even more terrifying was that the name of this river of love was Brandon Tran. It was killing me. I had been straight for 20 years, and suddenly turning gay was something no one could accept. And the culprit was right next to me. That evening, I was in the dorm playing games to blow off steam. The screen was filled with teammates cursing me out. Sean sneakily asked Brandon, who had just returned, what's wrong with him? He's radiating murderous intent. Brandon thought for a moment and shook his head. Probably just in a bad mood. Brandon walked over, snatched my phone, and tooted. You've dropped to silver rank. Stop playing. I aggressively snatched the phone back. Seeing him just made me more annoyed. None of your business. Give me back my phone. Brandon held the phone up high, out of my reach. What's the point of playing games if you're in a bad mood? I'll take you somewhere. I flatly refused. Not going. Brandon put on a mysterious act. Really not going? You'll definitely regret it. With that, he stuffed my phone into his pocket and raised an eyebrow. Chase me. If you catch me, I'll give it back. He was gone like a gust of wind, leaving me standing there fuming. Brandon Tran, are you a child? It took me a while to catch up to him. He was leaning against a cool, black motorcycle, looking impossibly handsome and attracting quite a few stares. I panted, demanding my phone back, but instead, a helmet fell from the sky. Brandon put on his helmet, swung a long leg over the bike, and got on. Seeing me stand still, he joked, what's wrong? Do you want me to carry you on? He made a move as if to get off, which scared me into immediately getting on the bike. I asked awkwardly, where did you get this bike? I've never seen you ride it before. Brandon's tone was very casual. My dad gave it to me. Hold on tight. I sat up straight, my hands gripping the sides of the back seat. I'm holding on. Brandon turned his head to look and laughed. Yep, holding on great. Of course, I said, a bit smug. Brandon, give me your hands. I hesitantly held out my hands. Brandon took them and placed them on his waist. Hug me. Hold on tight. My entire body was pressed against his back. I could clearly feel the firm muscles under his shirt. As if possessed, I gave them a little squeeze. Brandon's body stiffened for a second, then he turned his head and grinned at me. So, customer, are you satisfied with the service? My face, hidden inside the helmet, immediately flushed. I stammered, it's okay. Just okay? Are you being difficult? Satisfied. 5-star review. Brandon turned back, satisfied. Hold on tight. We're off. The motorcycle shot forward like an arrow. I scrambled to hold on to Brandon, not caring about anything else. The only sound in my ears was the whistling wind, and I thought I could hear Brandon's soft laughter, which made my ears tingle. The night sky over the mountain was full of twinkling stars, and in the distance were the lights of 1,000 homes. Brandon handed me a cup of hot water. It's a bit chilly up here on the mountain. Feeling any better? I looked down at the hot cup in my hands, a little dazed. I don't know. Brandon chuckled softly. Looks like I haven't tried hard enough to cheer you up. I looked up at him. You're not going to ask me why I'm in a bad mood? Brandon asked back. If I asked, would you tell me? I shook my head. How could I tell him? Tell him I'm gay and all my dreams are about him? Or tell him I like him. Brandon finished his hot water and tossed the cup in the trash, his eyes sparkling. Then forget it. When you want to talk, you'll talk. Just let nature take its course. In that moment, I suddenly wanted to tell him. His phone rang. Brandon answered, said a few simple words, and hung up. Sean's asking when we're coming back to the dorm. What were you about to say? Reason won over impulse. I couldn't bet on Brandon's reaction after hearing the truth. Nothing. Just wanted to thank you for taking me out for some fresh air today. I had a lot of fun. You're finally smiling. I touched the corner of my mouth, which had turned up, and pulled him along. Let's head back to school. It's freezing. All right. In the howling wind, I held on tightly to Brandon. Noah, if you like him, you like him. You're gay now, so you're gay. It's not a big deal. Just let nature take its course. Do I regret it? For days, I kept asking myself that. I could have hidden it, kept Brandon from knowing, and maintained our current relationship. Ever since I admitted I was gay, my relationship with Brandon had hit an all-time low. Sean also noticed the strange atmosphere between us and had worriedly asked me more than once, "What's wrong with you two? You don't eat together, go to class together, or play games together anymore. You don't even talk." I was waiting for Brandon to process it. I was waiting for an outcome, whether good or bad. That day, I was in the dorm catching up on homework when I got a call from Brandon's friends. I rushed over to the private room at the restaurant. The others looked at me like I was their savior. It turned out their basketball team was having a get-together. Brandon was in a terrible state, completely drunk, sitting alone on the sofa with glazed eyes, not letting anyone touch him. The floor around him was littered with empty bottles. Finally, someone had the idea to call me. Brandon squinted at me for a long time, as if trying to recognize me, and then grinned foolishly. Noah. I stepped over the bottles on the floor and helped him up. I'll take him back first. Outside the private room, I tried to hail a taxi several times. The drivers saw how drunk Brandon was and refused to take us. Finally, I had to repeatedly promise a driver that if he threw up, I would definitely pay extra for cleaning, and he reluctantly let us in. Throughout the ride, Brandon was like a noisy cicada buzzing in my ear, endlessly calling Noah. Noah, girlfriend. I couldn't stand it anymore. Shut up. Brandon looked at me pitifully and actually quieted down for a moment before starting again. I had a massive headache. The taxi driver glanced back and chuckled. Did the kid have his heart broken? He must really love his girlfriend. I felt a bit awkward. Sean and his friends were still out partying, so it was just me and Brandon in the dorm. After I got him settled, my anger still hadn't subsided. I poked his forehead with my finger, leaving a red mark with each poke, muttering curses at him. The more I cursed, the more wronged I felt. Brandon's eyes suddenly flew open, and he grabbed my hand. I lost my balance and fell on top of him. He wrapped his arms tightly around me, burying his head in my chest. Noah, you smell so good. My face flushed, and I gritted my teeth. Let go of me. Brandon whined, his arms tightening as if to merge me into his body. Not letting go. He mumbled to himself, if I let go, you won't pay attention to me anymore. I was so angry I laughed. Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. He was the one avoiding me, and now he's making it sound like I'm ignoring him, acting all pitiful. Brandon's voice was a low mumble. Noah, I feel awful. I asked tensely, where does it hurt? Let go of me first. My chest, it hurts. It feels like it's being torn apart. I froze. He continued to mumble, when you ignore me, it starts to hurt. When I can't see you, it hurts too. Am I sick? Thump. My mind went blank. All I could hear was my own heart pounding in my chest. Noah, do you think I'm sick? I reached out, pinched Brandon's cheeks, and pulled them apart, then sneered, yes, you're sick and about to die. You have a disease called Noah Chew. Straight guy? Homophobic? Brandon Tran, damn it, you'd better be. An overwhelming joy washed over me. After calming down, I started to feel troubled. Because Brandon clearly hadn't realized his feelings for me. It was maddening. These straight guys could be bent like a spring and still not know it. I went online for help, briefly describing my situation with Brandon. Many netizens replied enthusiastically. So sweet, so sweet. Is the OP here just to show off their love life in disguise? They're at this point and not together yet? I don't believe it. Following for updates. Saving my spot. Only one reply seemed somewhat credible, then provoke him. Let him figure it out on his own. In this situation, he has to realize it himself. If you tell him directly, he might resist even more. Provoke him? How? I pondered this deeply. Sean pushed open the dorm room door and almost screamed. He quickly flipped on the light and lowered his voice. Noah, why are you sitting here in the dark with messy hair, playing on your phone? Are you trying to scare me to death? My sincere apologies. Sorry, Sean said curiously. What are you doing up in the middle of the night? I asked hesitantly, have you ever been in a relationship? Sean's interest was piqued, and he leaned in. Whether I have or not doesn't matter, but I've been a love consultant for a lot of people. Just tell me your problem. I was skeptical. Sean's eyes urged me on. I have a friend. Sean gave me a knowing smile. I get it. The I have a friend series. I glared at him. If you interrupt me again, I'm not talking. Sean made a zipping motion across his lips. I quickly explained the situation, changing me and Brandon to childhood best friends. Sean was shocked. So your friend likes his best friend? Is your friend gay? I gave him a look. You're homophobic too? Sean denied it 3 times. No. I've only ever analyzed straight relationships before. This is my first time with a gay one. It's quite a challenge. So give me some advice. What should my friend do? The main problem is that his best friend thinks he's straight and is also homophobic. But your friend's best friend doesn't sound very straight. His eyes are full of you. I corrected him. Not me, my friend. Okay, your friend, Sean said. So how does my friend's friend get his best friend to realize he likes him back? Sean thought for a moment. Tell your friend to get a fake boyfriend. Provoke that best friend a little. I looked doubtful. Will that work? Why wouldn't it? Let that best friend know that soon there won't be a place for him by your friend's side anymore, that he'll be replaced by someone else. They can eat together, hug, kiss. If that best friend really likes your friend, he definitely won't be able to stand it. Think about it. If it were you, could you stand it? You raise a prize cabbage for so long, only for some random pig to come and root it up? And the worst part is, you don't even have the right to be angry. Isn't that frustrating? My eyes lit up, and I gave him a thumbs up. Brilliant, Master Sean. Sean said modestly, a small matter. Before going to sleep, my mind was consumed with one thought. Where on earth was I going to find a fake boyfriend? The next day, I received an urgent call for help from my cousin. Noah, help me out. My cousin is 8 years older than me. He came out in high school and was nearly beaten to a pulp by my uncle. He considers himself a charming, promiscuous player who lives a carefree life. Now, at 30, he's successful, and the family's attitude has shifted to, if you like guys, fine, just settle down. So they've been arranging one blind date after another for him. But my cousin deliberately refused to cooperate. His exact words were, Noah, look, his profession is a teacher. You can tell he's the old-fashioned type. I'm not interested. Help me turn him down. After this, whatever you want, just ask. In the restaurant, I looked at the man with a refined face across from me. He had gentle eyebrows and an elegant aura. His name was Ethan Shin, a teacher. We briefly introduced ourselves. He chuckled softly. You look very young, not like you're 30. Faced with his gentle demeanor, I felt incredibly guilty and had to confess. My name is Noah Chu. My cousin dragged me here. He wasn't annoyed at all. In fact, he seemed to understand. Knowing full well that I was just an excuse for his date to reject him, he remained polite and kind, which made me feel even more guilty. I was fidgety and just wanted to run away. Ethan saw through me. The food is here. Let's eat before you go. I had to nod. This was my first blind date, and my date was a man. Perhaps it was Ethan's tolerance that made me bold enough to talk to him. Throughout the conversation, it was mostly me talking while he listened quietly, occasionally chiming in. The atmosphere was incredibly harmonious and comfortable. Once I started talking, I couldn't stop. Perhaps because my feelings for Brandon had been bottled up for so long, and I had no one to confide in, I finally met a stranger willing to listen, and I just poured everything out. Ethan summarized, "So you like your roommate, but he's straight and homophobic." I nodded furiously and sighed. It's a pain, these straight guys. Ethan seemed to think of something, and his smile was a bit forced. In the end, Ethan had something to do, so we exchanged WeChats. I called my cousin back. "I think Teacher Shin is great. If he became my brother-in-law, I'd support it with both hands and feet." My cousin scoffed, "Just one meal and he's already won you over? Too bad I'm not one to give up the entire forest for a single tree." I cursed him out and hung up, then headed back to school. In the dorm, Sean and Brandon were both there. Sean casually asked, "Where'd you go this afternoon?" I blurted out, "On a blind date." Immediately, all eyes were on me. Brandon's expression was complicated. Sean gasped, "No way. You're just in university, and your family is already setting you up on blind dates? That's insane." I made something up. "My family hopes I'll get married right after graduation." Sean was nosy. "Is he handsome? How old? What does he do? How many people in his family?" I found it funny. "Are you conducting a census? Tell me already." I noticed Brandon was also staring at me intently. "He's a guy. He looks good, he's a teacher." I didn't ask how many people are in his family. All in all, he was very easy to talk to. Hearing "a guy," Sean froze. A long moment later, he spoke. "Wait, a guy? Noah, you're... Sorry for hiding it for so long. I like guys." Sean waved his hands, flustered. No, that's fine." Brandon's face was incredibly grim. Without looking back, he stormed into the bathroom. The door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Sean was bewildered. "What's wrong with Brandon?" I smirked. Maybe he can't accept it, or maybe he's just homophobic? It dawned on Sean. "So that's why you two have been so weird lately." I tacitly admitted it and deliberately added loudly, "When my date and I make it official, I'll move out. After all, having me here might make others uncomfortable." Sean quickly clarified, "I'm not uncomfortable. I'm definitely not uncomfortable." Brandon came out of the bathroom, his face dark, and questioned me. "You're going to move out for some guy you just met, who you've known for less than a day?" I looked him straight in the eye. "Yes. Is there a problem? Isn't it normal for a couple to live together?" Brandon's eyes were red. He slammed his fist into the cabinet behind me, creating a loud bang. Sean trembled with fear. "Brandon, let's talk this out calmly. Don't get physical." "Noah, Brandon is just worried about you." Brandon coldly pulled his hand back. "Noah Chu. Fine. Very good." He turned and stormed out of the dorm without a second glance. "Is that it?" My heart pounded with tension. I stared blankly at his departing back. Sean comforted me. "Brandon just can't accept it right away. Don't mind him too much." I absent-mindedly grunted. "Brandon Tran, you really know how to hold it in." My relationship with Brandon got even worse. Sean was caught in the middle, feeling extremely awkward. Brandon had been very busy lately, occupied with anniversary celebration activities, so he was often not in the dorm. Coincidentally, one time Sean and I went to watch a rehearsal, and we overheard people next to us gossiping. What a power couple. Brandon and the department belle are a perfect match. Sean said, "Noah, don't say it, my boy Brandon is really handsome." I looked, expressionless, at the man and woman on the distant stage, laughing and talking. I had to admit, the handsome guy and beautiful girl did look good together. Maybe Brandon didn't really like me. He was just used to having me around. Once he got used to me not being there, everything would go back to normal. I had mistaken his habit for love. Because possessiveness exists even between friends. This thought took root in my mind and grew into a lush tree. On the day of the anniversary celebration, Sean had plans with friends, while I had invited Ethan to join me at the school. He had agreed. Through our interactions, Ethan and I had become friends. I just didn't expect him to get out of Professor Han's car. I reflexively tried to hide, but the sharp-eyed Ethan spotted me. Professor Han walked over with him. I politely greeted him, and Professor Han asked, "How do you two know each other?" I stammered, "Through a blind date." Ethan said, We met over a meal. The next second, I saw Professor Han's face turn cold as he questioned Ethan, "Do you like men?" Ethan's expression also changed, and he admitted he liked men. I wanted to cry but had no tears. I'm doomed, I'm doomed. Looking at Professor Han's face, he was definitely homophobic too. My love life was already hard enough, and now I had a homophobic teacher to deal with. After Professor Han left, I asked Ethan anxiously, "How do you know my advisor?" "Ethan, we were high school classmates." It hit me like a ton of bricks. I took a sharp breath. "So your high school crush was Professor Han?" Ethan looked at me in surprise, then nodded. I silently gave him a thumbs up. I thought someone like Brandon was already hell-level difficulty, but compared to Professor Han, he was nothing. I slung an arm around his shoulder, offering comfort. "We're both unlucky in love." So it was me, Ethan, and a little tag-along who loved to argue with me, Professor Han's nephew. We ate our fill, bickering the whole way. Just as we were about to part ways, Brandon appeared out of nowhere. "Didn't you say you had something to do?" I remembered the night before when Sean, trying to mediate, had invited us to go to the anniversary street fair together. I had refused. Thinking about how I had seen him co-hosting with the department bell earlier, with a whole crowd shipping them, a fire of anger rose in my heart. I blurted out, "I did have something to do. I was with my boyfriend." I frantically winked at Ethan. "Help me, help me." Ethan immediately understood and took the initiative to greet Brandon. Brandon's face turned pale as he glared at Ethan, as if trying to burn a hole through him. "If you find homosexuality so disgusting and sick, then you should probably stay away from me." Brandon's face went from green to white. He explained in a panic, "Noah, I didn't mean it like that. I didn't know you were." "Well, now you know. So, are you going to stick around and watch us kiss?" My head was hot, and I made a move as if to kiss Ethan. Ethan's eyes widened. Seeing Brandon's expression, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. "What are you two doing?" I answered smugly, "Haven't you ever seen two men kiss before?" The next second, I looked in the direction of the voice and froze. It was Professor Han. I gave a forced laugh, mumbled an excuse, and abandoned Ethan, fleeing the scene. Brandon chased after me, pulling me into a secluded corner. He said, "Noah Chu, we need to talk." I crossed my arms and looked him straight in the eye. "Fine. What do you want to talk about?" Brandon seemed to be in self-reflection mode, rambling on and on without a clear point. "I've been thinking a lot lately." I lost my patience and interrupted. "Can you just get to the point?" Brandon was a bit flustered, his face turning red. "If you like men, could you consider me? That blind date of yours is obviously older, that's no good. If you choose me, you know everything about me. I know all your preferences like the back of my hand." I was stunned, trying hard to suppress the wild grin spreading across my face. I pretended to think. But I'm very satisfied with him. Being a bit older means he's more mature and stable. Besides, aren't you homophobic? Brandon's face turned pale. He reached out and grabbed my hand, his eyes incredibly sincere. "I'm sorry. I was wrong to say that day. I don't like gay people, but I like you. So, can you please consider me? I can be mature and stable too." I reflexively reached out to pat his shoulder, offering some words of comfort. Brandon was overjoyed, his eyes sparkling as he hugged me tightly. "Pursue you? I'll start pursuing you right now. So, can you give me some priority? We'll see how you perform." That night, when Sean returned to the dorm and saw Brandon being so attentive, he asked me, "Have you two made up?" Seeing me nod, he breathed a sigh of relief and lamented, "You two are like gods fighting, and I'm the poor little devil caught in the crossfire." Brandon really did try his best to pursue me, and he did it so grandly it was as if he wanted the whole world to know. The question he asked me most often was, "Have you broken up with that old man yet? When are you going to make me official?" I have a headache. He has a name, it's Ethan Shin. Can't you be polite? Brandon just huffed, he's an old man. Finally, one day, Sean couldn't hold back his suspicion and asked us, "Are you two secretly dating behind my back?" Brandon admitted frankly, "I'm still pursuing him. Noah is a bit hard to get." Sean was stunned, his face crestfallen. "I knew you two were up to something. It turns out I'm just a human-shaped light bulb." A month later, on Brandon's birthday, He closed his eyes to make a wish in front of the cake. Amidst the well wishes, he gave the first slice of cake to me. I asked him softly, "What did you wish for?" He blinked. "A wish that only you can grant." I gave a mischievous smile and, when no one was looking, turned my head and quickly gave him a peck on the cheek. "How about now? Did the wish come true?" My boyfriend, Brandon, stared at my lips, his eyes wide. Then he got greedy. "Not yet. My wish was for Noah to kiss my lips, not my cheek." Brandon pulled me out of the private room, found a secluded corner, and leaned in for a kiss. Now, the wish has come true. And that's the end of the story. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support me.